Meet Anna and Jack. They are a young couple in their mid-20s, recently married and starting their lives together. Like many other young couples, they have many financial goals, such as saving for a down payment on a home, starting a family, and planning for retirement. But there is one goal that is often overlooked by many young couples: building an emergency fund. Life is unpredictable, and emergencies can happen at any time. A car accident, a medical emergency, or a flooded basement can happen unexpectedly and leave you struggling financially. That's why it's essential to have an emergency fund in place to protect yourself from financial shocks. Hi, and welcome to Distinguished Finance, a channel devoted to educating viewers on personal finance, investment, and financial news across the world. Feel free to hit the like button if this video was useful and subscribe to the channel if you're interested in understanding money and improving your financial future. In this video, we'll show you how Anna and Jack build their emergency fund, step by step. We'll discuss what an emergency fund is, why it's important, how much you need to save, where to keep your emergency fund, and some tips for building an emergency fund quickly. Let's get started. First things first, what is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is a savings account that is specifically set aside to cover unexpected expenses or financial emergencies. It's like a rainy day fund that you can use to pay for unexpected expenses without going into debt. Anna and Jack realize that they have a lot of expenses that they cannot avoid, such as rent, utilities, groceries, and transportation. However, they also see that they have some discretionary expenses that they can cut back on, such as dining out, entertainment, and shopping. They make a budget plan to determine how much money they can allocate towards their emergency fund each month. They realize that they need to make some lifestyle changes to save more money for their emergency fund. They decide to cut back on their discretionary expenses and redirect that money towards building their emergency fund. Now that we know what an emergency fund is, let's discuss why it's important. Imagine you're driving home from work, and your car breaks down. You take it to the mechanic, and they tell you that it's going to cost you $1,000 to fix it. How would you pay for this unexpected expense? If you have an emergency fund, you can use that money to pay for the repair bill without going into debt. Having an emergency fund can also reduce stress and anxiety in times of financial uncertainty. You'll have peace of mind knowing that you have a safety net to fall back on if you need it. Now that Anna and Jack understand why having an emergency fund is important, the next question is, how much do they need to save? The rule of thumb is to save enough to cover 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. Anna and Jack review their monthly expenses and calculate their total living expenses for 3 to 6 months. They realize that their living expenses amount to $4,000 per month. To cover 6 months' worth of living expenses, they need to save $24,000 for their emergency fund. This may seem like a lot, but it's essential to have this cushion to protect them from financial shocks. The next question is, where should they keep their emergency fund? There are several options for where to keep your emergency fund. The most important thing is to keep it in a safe, easily accessible account that you can quickly access in case of an emergency. Anna and Jack consider a high-yield savings account, a money market account, and a checking account. They compare the interest rates, fees, and accessibility of each option. After careful consideration, they decide to keep their emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. This account offers a higher interest rate than a traditional savings account, and they can quickly access their funds if needed. Now that Anna and Jack have a plan in place for their emergency fund, let's discuss some tips for building an emergency fund quickly. Anna and Jack consider taking on a side hustle, selling unused items, and cutting back on subscriptions to save more money. They track their progress and celebrate each milestone along the way. They feel motivated to continue building their emergency fund and have peace of mind knowing that they are prepared for any unexpected expenses. Building an emergency fund may seem overwhelming, but it's an essential part of your overall financial plan. By following the steps we discussed today, you can create a safety net for yourself and your family. Remember, emergencies can happen at any time, but with an emergency fund in place, you'll be prepared to handle them. Good luck on your journey towards financial security. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more distinguished finance videos.